Hey, it's 16 Beats from masteringthemix.com. Today's just going to be a short video talking about panning, LCR panning, and also soft panning. So first and foremost, soft panning is, well, no, let me start with LCR. LCR panning stands for left, center, right panning, right? Which means you only ever pan hard left, hard right, or in the center. Alright, so a hard left would be all the way to the left, a hard right would be all the way to the right, and of course the center is just up. Now, this is a more traditional form of panning that can create a lot of space in the stereo field. It's something that I'd recommend if you've got very, very busy mixes, a lot of recorded tracks, a lot of maybe like guitars and pianos, like you've got a real orchestration going on. Genres that I feel would probably benefit from LCR panning more so is rock, um, pop, not really hip hop pop, but like pop, and that's maybe heavy metal, stuff like that. Just stuff that has a lot going on, and you need to spacing it out. For genres like hip hop and more specifically trap, R&B, I don't feel like LCR panning is as much the way to go. But again, that's a subjective thing. But I just say that because a lot of hip hop productions and R&B productions and trap and whatnot, they're actually quite sparse already. There's not too many elements going on. You might just have the bass, a melody here and there, and a couple of percussions, which can sound too dragged out if you're panning things hard left and hard right. So that's where I feel soft panning comes more into play, when it's more sparse. For example, again, hip hop, where you're just moving things, you know, maybe 10% here, maybe 25%, 30% there, to create space, because space is still important, but you don't want to spread your mix too thin with LCR panning. So what I've got here is just a quick beat that I just threw together in 5 minutes time. And I'm gonna show you how it could be LCR panned, so you get an idea how that sounds, and then I'm gonna pan it how I would pan it with soft panning. Right, so let's start. Turn it down so you can hear what I'm saying. So in general, whether you're doing LCR panning or soft panning or whatnot, there's certain elements that you want to try and keep in the middle. Again, all of this is subjective, but these are just some tried and tested things that are known to work. So you know, why reinvent the wheel? So you want to keep your bass in the center, you want to keep your kick and your snare in the center, and you want to keep your vocals, and you want to keep your vocals in the center as well. Everything else can be played with. It can be kept center as well, but everything else you can move around and space out and whatnot. Right, so adhering to those rules, I'm gonna do some LCR panning right now. Now I've got two melodies, one melody and then one melody repeating, but it's layered and it's a bit higher in frequencies. And then I've got a counter melody that's a bit lower. So what I'm gonna do, so as to not, because when you're panning, you want to try and balance your frequencies in the panning. You don't want one side of the mix to be very high and then one side of the mix to be very low, because then it will just sound kind of off. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pan the first melody extreme left, the darker melody extreme left, and the darker counter melody extreme right, and I'm gonna keep the lighter melody in the middle. And then I'm going to proceed from there. So extreme right, and then I'll just do it here and then play it after for you. Keep the bass in the middle, kick, snare in the middle, hi-hat, I'll give that an extreme left. Again, this isn't how I would do it, but this is just an example how an LCR pan would work, because again, it's center, left, or right, that's it. And then the open hat I might do on the right. Let's see how that sounds. So I personally don't think that sounds too bad, but it's still just a bit too spaced for me. Another element to LCR panning is the effects as well. So my reverb chain, so all my reverb comes to this bus and goes into the master fader from here. The reverb chain is center, so all of the effects, at least from all of the instruments, still come to the middle, which kind of doesn't make the top and like the top left and top right sound too empty. If I just play it again with just a reverb, you can hear how that still is kind of central and is creating volume in the middle, so that does help out. But yeah, I wouldn't. It's very spacious. I mean, certain artists could like it, certain artists could not, and also the listener could like it and the listener could not. Because it is a lot to deal with having things in your right ear and your left ear that are different and whatnot. So just put everything back to the beginning and then just pan it how I would. Again, this production is quite sparse. There's not that much percussion. There's not that many instruments. But when in the cases where there are, LCR panning probably work best. So again, you have to go by what you think sounds good and whatnot. So now I'm gonna soft pan it how I think it should be soft panned. All right, so that's how I would pan it. Um, it hasn't been, I haven't stretched it very wide, but I've done it enough that I feel like the bass and the kick have enough space in the center. I've kept the higher pitch melody in the middle, just because with just that and the bass in the middle, there's still a lot of space because the higher frequencies are all the way at the top of the mix. Then you've got all the space in the middle for the vocal, and then you've got the bass doing its thing. I've panned the similar frequency melodies just a bit to the left and the right. I don't like to do it too far left and right. I like it because I personally like my instruments quite close to the middle. I like them to kind of hug the vocals, and then open out. I've just given it a cheeky 20%, which offsets the hi-hats, which I haven't panned with the pan button. But what I've done is I've done a sample delay to the right, which actually makes it creates, so it sort of creates the effect of panning the hats to the left, but it makes it kind of thicker and it's not extreme left. It's still almost center, but it's more on the left side. So that's why I've done that. And then you have the open hat on the right, and I just feel like this is quite balanced for this sparse mix, and that a vocal could sit in it quite well, which would also be in the center. Yeah. So that's how I'd soft pan, and of course I've already gone over the LCR panning, but just again, just a quick note of how it works. If you've got a really full and busy production, you might want to try LCR panning to get more room for things, and create more width in your mix, and more space in your mix. If your production is a little less busy and more sparse, you probably want to stick to soft panning. Again, it's up to you. It's literally subjective. Everything in mixing is subjective, but at least you know the options. If you want to go into a bit more detail and learn a bit more about, for example, the reverb buses and the chains and plugins and other good mixing tips like these, check out my course, Beat Mixing Secrets. The link for that will be in the description below. It's an excellent course. I've got an excellent reviews from every producer that's used it. I'd highly recommend it. But again, this has been a video from 16 Beats, masterthemixing.com. Take care and have a good day.